today and yesterday.
News channels, a dedicated media platform that broadcasts reports, analysis, and updates on current events and/or public affairs.
Everyone in McKinney is dead.
But you read the title already. I hate news channels for multiple different reasons. And many of the reasons have been a problem because since the creation of news channels, they over-sensationalize many things, like even the small things, like weather. You probably heard some bullshit on the news channel saying that there is going to be a snowpocalypse or something in that nature, just for there to be 1 inch of snow. And it really wouldn't be a big deal if they only did for weather. But news channels do the same shit for minor trends. Because remember back in like 2018 when the Top challenge was a thing? Like realistically, nobody's actually doing this. Maybe a few crackhead kids. But news channels will act like it's a hot new craze that hundreds of children are doing. But in reality, not many kids are that stupid enough to eat laundry detergent. But these channels just decide, you know what, this sounds good enough to get some moms to talk about it. News channels try their best to use tactics to get you to continue to watch their shit. Because television news relies on ratings. And to keep up their ratings, they have to keep people watching. And so their best option is usually fear-based coverage. If it bleeds, it leads. You know where this saying usually stems from? News channels. Cable TV programs usually and regularly dedicate a massive part of their broadcast to violent crimes and over-sensationalizes them so they can fearmonger the locals. But here's the thing, crime has been on the decline ever since the 70s. But these news channels love their ratings, so they would rather act like crime is rampant. Who cares if we give the locals anxiety? Another mess up thing that news channels be doing is that news channels often push more black related violent crimes while underreporting white offenders, trying to push a narrative to the viewers. No wonder hella white moms are looking at black kids like they're gonna rob them. This issue alone is gonna make so many problems because minority groups who constantly see people who look like them on the news portrayed as criminals can internalize those negative stereotypes, which could lead to internalized hate on themselves and shift their worldview in a negative way. Not only that, but media drives public pressure, which if there is less attention on minority victims, then there is going to be less investigative attention and fewer resources pushed into minority cases. And already, what the fuck? Why aren't we treating each other with some dignity, man? And what for? Money? Why are so many media outlets so heartless? Because I know you news executives aren't no robots whose only concern is to make money.
No.
Along with straight disregard to human decency, there is so much political bias in news channels. News channels are supposed to be a source to get updates on current events and or public affairs. But unfortunately, politics are getting in the way of actually reporting on real life events. Majority of the news channels you see on the air are always trying to push an agenda. Channels such as Fox News would 100% tell the viewers what they want, then reporting objective facts. On some, there is no war in boxing say. If there is bias in the media outlets, then there's gonna be a skewing of actual journalism. And when bias is covered as actual fact, then it creates a mentality for the people watching. For example, post 9/11, there were so many media channels featuring a lot of anti-Islamic rhetoric, to the point where till this day I've only heard terrorism only being tied to Muslims. And like, come on. During the early 2000s, there was a lot of scared Americans because this was the first time there was an attack on American soil since Pearl Harbor. This was before iPhones and modern day social media, so majority of scared Americans got news from CNN and Fox. And guess what news sold the most during those times? Anti-Islamic hate. Damn. These news channels love to take advantage of people. In 2013, Boston experienced one of its worst terror attacks in history. The Boston Marathon bombing. 3 people died and 260 people were injured. But being in a rush to report this information, several news channels and outlets incorrectly identified suspects before authorities could even confirm anything. Like, what What the fuck? What are y'all doing? Who gave y'all the authority to accuse people like that? I shouldn't explain why this is a problem, because you wouldn't want to be labeled as a terrorist. But these news channels don't care because they have to be the first to report on a horrible situation and be detectives while at it. Believe it or not, a lot of news channels used to be strictly enforced to have an objective viewpoint. From the year 1949 to 1987, all news channels had to follow the fairness doctrine. But unfortunately, the Reagan administration repealed this doctrine, so now news channels can be as biased as they want. This sucks, because journalism is supposed to be gathering, verifying, and presenting news to the public. But whatever we have on our TV isn't real journalism. It's just a form of brain rot for old people. The lack of context the news channels give to people is also not helping.
But bro, he was just ripping the N-word.
Cause tell me why they can be like, this black man decided to break the law on Main Street, when in reality, they were just jaywalking. Unfortunately though, it seems like news channels are getting worse. Without actual regulation, these channels can really just skew the truth as much as they want. And with the decline of nuance in our news stations, they can develop fear in their local neighborhoods, so they can make people keep watching. Honestly, these news channels suck. At the end of the day, these news channels get ran by companies, and these companies only want is a profit. So they don't care about the ramifications. If they can make money off of the stress of the people, who cares if they start to develop a negative stereotype of each other?
Next up, why is America being ruined by black people?
So, is there a solution?
Wait, no!
Of course there is, and I'll be the one to solve the situation. First, you all have to give me your money. Then once I get all that money, I will start to campaign for the fairness doctrine to be reinstalled. Because I have a dream that people will never be taken advantage by the news outlets ever again. And the remaining money will go into my new mansion. So overall, don't take whatever the media outlets be saying, because most of the time, they're just assholes.
In a cage, I read about did you say want to a 10-year-old with Down syndrome being taken?